Mike MDs, today we're going to replace the oil filter housing on this BMW right here. This plastic piece right there, it goes bad, it starts warping, it leaks water all over everything. If they get bad enough, it also leaks oil too. It's one of the most common leaks on these BMWs, and I'm going to show you how to replace it here. Now this is a 6-cylinder. The 4 cylinders are the same and they have the same issue. So this job will be helpful on both engines, 6-cylinder and 4-cylinder. Some things are a little different, but the general rules apply. First things first, we're going to locate the battery. Sometimes it's under this rear shelf down here, and sometimes it's on the side here. We're going to disconnect the negative terminal just to be safe. So with this job, the bare minimum I recommend is not only replacing the oil filter housing, but also replacing a couple of the coolant lines, as well as the flange that's under here that's common to leak too. And you'll get a better idea once I have this stuff apart here. So it's going to be this hose here going from the reservoir to the cylinder head underneath, and then also the upper radiator hose, this one right here, and it runs along to the little flange that goes against the engine block here on the side, and we'll see it here. So first things first is we have to pull the intake off. So we're going to pull the throttle body off, discharge air, pull it to the side here. Some of the fuel tank ventilation lines like these here, all this, we're going to lift it out of the way here. I'm not going to do like a fast forward because it'd be like a super long video and it would be too condensed and too fast. So I'll just show you like different steps here. And if you're doing this job yourself, you can just use, you know, each of these frames and steps as reference how to go back together if you kind of forget. All right, these top covers we're going to take off here. They're just 10 millimeters right here, counterclockwise, quarter turn, and they pull this thing out here. We're going to take this brace off. These little covers come off right here, and there's a bolt there and then 2 under there, and those are E-Torx. It's an E18, E-Torx 18 to take those off. And then once we take this bar off here, we're going to take this other plastic brace off underneath, and it's a bunch of 10 millimeters that run the perimeter of it all the way around. Remove that. To take some of this piping off, this needs a T20 right here. We're going to take these T20 off right here so we can get some of this harness out of the way as well. Just basically disconnect everything that's up here, pull it to the side because we're going to pull the intake off. And right here, this charge air pipe, this is a T30, a Torx bit 30 to pull that off. So we'll do that as well. And we're just going to put this to the side here just so it's out of the way. All right, as far as this tank venting valve system over here, I realized the first time I did this that it took me a second to figure it out without breaking it. So the way this works is it's on this little mount here. You pull it up, and on the back of this thing, it has a hook that goes this way, and if you try to rip it up, it'll break. So you have to go up and then back with it like that, and then it'll come out. And then you can decide if you want to take it off right here or put it to the side. On this one, I'll probably take it off. On the 4-cylinder, you can easily tuck it or pull it to the side here. And if you're not familiar with these connectors, they're a real pain, and you have to like click this up first like this, and then supposedly you can put pressure on here like a regular connector and pull it off, but sometimes it's difficult. You kind of have to get under it like this with 2 hands. So one under here to lift the tab, and the other one to pull it off. That was pretty easy, but they're not all like that, as you'll find out. All right, I'm getting to the point where we're going to pull the intake manifold off, and I just want to go over some discrepancies between the 4-cylinder and 6-cylinder. On the 6-cylinder, it's better to take some of these connectors off here so you can pull this harness to the side. The 4-cylinder doesn't really have that problem. You can tuck it to the side. And then also there's, depending on the package, there's different coolant lines that come out from under here that you want to remove here. So one of them is going to be this. I'm going to remove this one here. And then some of them have like a bracket where you need to unbolt it or unclip some of the hoses that run along the side of the manifold, and you'll see that here. So now that I have all that loose and out of the way, there's a couple bolts that hold the manifold on right here. They're kind of like a resting point, and they're E-Torx 10, so you're going to remove those. And what hold the manifold on are these 10 millimeter bolts, so you're going to use 10 millimeter socket to run through there. And before you do it, it's a good idea to blow compressed air through here to blow all this crap out so it doesn't fall into the intake. All right, I have the manifold out, pulled to the side. And FYI, on these 6 cylinders, the 4 cylinders aren't nearly as difficult, but it has these 2 pipes that run underneath the intake manifold. This is flipped upside down. And these 2 little hoses right here attached to them. There's not a lot of slack to get under there, so you kind of have to like lift the intake manifold off up a little bit, wedge it with something so you can sneak in there with some tools like a pick and open up these release clips here and then pull them off. So let's see, this is not a lot of slack right here. So once you have those off, then you can pull the intake out. It's a little cumbersome, but it's the only thing that's really holding them on underneath. So now we're gonna remove, well, this is the oil filter housing right here. You can see it goes down in here, and this thing is buried in there. So first thing we're gonna do is remove this upper hose, get this out of the way. It's gonna free us up, give us a better visibility in here as well, because we're replacing it. The other hose we're replacing is this one here, which is notorious for breaking as well. They even did an update coolant line on some of the models because they kept breaking. And we're also going to replace this flange right here, and they're different on every model. There's like 5 different variations, so I can't give you guys part numbers on all this stuff. You just have to either go to the dealer or look them up based off of your VIN. This flange here is really notorious for splitting and or leaking at the flange gasket. So we're going to remove this as well. Get some of this stuff out of here. This coolant module right here, we're going to leave. The 4 cylinders don't have it right here. It's on the front of the engine. The 6 cylinders, they stuff it underneath here. Kind of hinders the visibility, but we'll get there. We'll get there. The 6 cylinder is definitely the hardest one. All right, now I got the upper radiator hose off of this coolant flange here. It's also called a coolant connection pipe. So that's an eTorx 8, so we're going to remove that right now. All right, so for that bottom eTorx one, it's tight in there, and I lost my thin wall. I had a thin wall eTorx for this, and if you don't have one, then you're gonna have to make one like I did. So basically, you have to shave off the sidewall of this thing, get it as thin as you can to get in there. That's the only way to get in. Or you have to take this this unit off here, which it has a few T20s along the perimeter, and you can kind of pull it out of the way, but it's still tight. I've done it before. It's not my favorite way, but it's better to just shave one of these eTorx bits down. All right, for the 6 cylinders, like this car here, it has this little water pump that's held on here, electric water pump, and it has these clips on the back that hold it on. And these clips, you have to lift up this tab and then slide it. There's 2 of them, and then you can pull this out of the way over here. And now with all this stuff out of the way, I can start working on these bolts right here, getting these off, and it should come out from the top here. And if you have a problem getting the ones on the bottom, if it's easy for you to get underneath the car, you can get them from under there. I don't like to do it unless I have to. You should be able to get it with a nice extension, set of 1/4-inch extensions, a swivel. You'll be able to get it out here. And for this oil filter housing, I'm using a 6-inch extension here, and you kind of have to use your fingers back on this back side blindly while going in on this other side here to guide it in. But you can get them. I got it without a swivel, so sometimes I use a swivel. This time I didn't, so you should be able to get it. It's a little bit difficult, but just got to fiddle with it. All right, here we are. And the new one comes with an oil filter already, in case you're wondering. You don't need to open it up and see. If it's a factory one, it does. I don't know about the aftermarket ones. You can see we got it out now, and you can see all the little passages that oil filter housing manages. And before going back in, obviously, we're gonna clean it, all the mating surfaces up nicely, and the oil that spilt down from there. I did forget to mention that we're going to be replacing the intake manifold gaskets as well. And with this oil filter housing out, you can see the issue here. You see this here, the plastic just started eroding and the gasket has nowhere to sit, so it just starts pouring out coolant. This one was leaking pretty bad, actually. It's a pretty active leak, just sitting there was leaking on the floor. There kept having to add coolant. And the new one, though it comes with an oil filter element, it does not come with the cooler. So, but it does come with the gaskets for the cooler. So you got to transfer the gaskets over the cooler. Also the bolts, doesn't come with the bolts here. I forgot to show you the flange that we're going to be replacing as well. You can see how brittle this is. Plastic and all this stuff after a while. This car only has 65,000 miles on it and it's already looking like this. So if you're like in the 80,000, then for sure you got to replace this thing. You'll probably see a nice crack in here that's about to split if it hadn't already. Sometimes it leaks at the profile gasket as well. And if you see this brown here, this is why we replaced that upper hose, because if you go to reuse it, it's likely that O-ring is not going to seal back up. Not to mention the coupler for it is plastic on the hose, and you're doing all this labor. I mean, you're going to want to replace the hose while you're in there. You don't want to do it later, you know, in like 10,000 miles and it's leaking, and you know, you gotta do it now. And a heads up, when you go to transfer this, I already took the bolts off. There's a lot of oil that's going to come out of this cooler. Oil and water, but mainly a bunch of oil on here. A lot. And we want to drain this thing a little bit because we're going to clean the surface after, because there's a little bit of electrolysis that happened on here. We're going to clean that up. For some reason on the 6-cylinder housing, it's very difficult to pull the screws out of the collar. It has an O-ring in there. On the 4 cylinders, it's really easy. You can pull them apart and just put the screw itself through the collar. On these ones, I just punch out the old one by lining it up and hitting it right here. And right tool for the job right here, huh? So just go like this, bang the new one in, so with the collar and the screw itself. All right, the new oil filter housing is in, and we have the new flange in as well, and we're just going to go in reverse just like we did. But before we put the manifold on and this other hose in here, you want to make sure you want to clean the mating surface here for the manifold gaskets. Pretty much everything is back together now. I'm going to keep the cover off on the top and the bottom. I'm going to clean up. If you don't have a hoist, you can pour some water along the perimeter here to get some of that water out, some of the coolant that has dropped down in there from the repair. And now we're going to bleed the system. We're going to add coolant mix, 50-50 coolant mix to both the regular hot circuit and the cold circuit right here. And since we had the oil filter housing out, you're definitely going to have to add a good quart of oil to this thing. So in a minute I'll do that, and I'll show you how to bleed it. Before adding the coolant in, we're going to open this bleeder screw. That way it bleeds all the air out. All right, and once you have the coolant mix in there and you see it start bubbling out or pouring out a little bit out of the bleeder screw, then you can close it. All right, a lot of these Beamers have an electric water pump. These ones here have a mechanical, so we're going to bleed it the old style way. And we're going to turn the heater on to defrost, and all the way up, turn the AC off here. Right there. And then we're gonna go back under here and top it off. This one looks pretty good right now. This one I need to top off again, so I'm gonna do that and then close these, and then we'll rev the engine around 2,000 RPMs for a good couple minutes before we drive it. All right, now we're just revving it up. Get some of that coolant flowing through the engine. I'm at about 2,000 RPMs. And just sit here for about a minute. And if there's no low coolant light, then you're good to go on a test drive. And after that, we're gonna wanna recheck the coolant level, but let it cool down first. and look for leaks, and if everything's good, you're all set. All right, now I can feel some hot air coming out of here. It's pretty hot, so I think we're good. There's no air bubbles trapped in the heater core or any of the coolant circuit, so we can drive it. All right, I'm still driving around with the heater on for a good couple minutes, and then I'll turn it off because it's getting hot in here. But at least I know it's working. Guys, I hope this video helped you out. I appreciate you watching. Feel free to make a comment or ask any questions about this job here. And I have plenty of videos like this. I appreciate if you could like and subscribe. I'll see you on the next one. Happy motoring to you.